but because I'm kind of in a state of flux at the moment, which is a bit scary. But I've been here before, so I'm not
Yeah,
too worried about it.
yeah. Nothing new. I mean, it's the perpetual get yourself sorted and then be totally adjusted out of your timeline to some other experience. But, instead of sort of dwelling in the what have they done to me now, it's just seeing that from the higher perspective and
Exactly.
trusting in this divine that's, you know, guiding us. But my God, we are in it up to our eyeballs. Up to our eyeballs, and I'm seeing it. I'm the frontline medic, and I can tell you it's a shit show.
I don't doubt that a bit. And there seems to have been. So I'll just jump into it because Morgan had been talking to you, and
Yep.
uh, oh God, it's so hard to like put things together on a sequential linear timeline. But I'm going to
Oh,
say,
there's no, this is the thing. I was sitting here going, actually, how, your thought forms are so discombobulated because there's just so
yeah,
goddamn much going on.
I know.
It's like,
It's
where, where are we now? I say to myself most mornings, where have they put us now?
it's
It's
literally
like
a
this
new world.
whole
It's
false matrix. Well, this whole false matrix AI godhead
yeah,
is literally resetting and influencing the zombification of the the unawakened,
yeah,
and we're just watching the ship of fools on the river of insanity
yeah,
as we're standing on the banks of the original reality going, where are they taking them now? What's going on now? It's
yeah,
just incredible.
yeah.
And what I'm seeing through the fact that I have a medical family that are completely guardians of this matrix without being bad people,
Right.
just being so mind controlled.
Wow. Yeah. If I look back at the last,
So,
go ahead. There's a lag. I'm not trying to interrupt you.
no, that's all right. You go.
No, I was just going to say, just to kind of like set it up, because I was privy to a little bit of what uh, you and Morgan discussed. And it was the timing, though.
Mm.
So over the last 2 weeks, obviously, what you're describing, for all of us to try to describe, it's kind of futile. But you have these activations, downloads, transmissions, surrenders, deep dives, expansions, all seem to happen like in the same time. Like, how does that happen? Like, if something
Yeah,
comes into your awareness, and then,
yeah, yeah.
but over the last couple of weeks, a couple of things kind of stood out. One, there seemed to be some extremely deep, like deeper than ever, deeper than ever. Everything's bigger than it ever was. That's why every day is a new world, basically. But there seemed to be like a presentation or a representation, and people are getting this different ways. Be it a very deep emotional something uploaded as alive. If anything happens,
Right. So are we on now, live or?
yeah, we're being recorded. I mean, they're coming back on now, so yeah, there's 49 people.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Cool, cool.
Oh, anyway, just let me just conclude that real quick. What I was
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
is
cool.
that when she talked to you, you'd mentioned reptilians and some work that you were doing interfacing with them. We'll use that word. A, a number of people had said the same thing, or at least the reptilian energy came up. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad, but
Yeah.
like it was coming up, and many people have said, "Oh, the reptilians have left the realm and this and that." But I don't know where that goes. I just on one hand, you go, "Oh, at the end of the day, we're all going to have to find equilibrium with each other," but at the same time, there's some fuckery going on. So like
Oh,
anything
yeah.
you can
Oh,
anything you can supply anything you can
some,
add to shed light on
I'd
that.
say,
Yeah.
look, I see that we have been free range slaves in this reality. I'm not whitewashing it anymore. There's
Right.
no, in this lower dimension, we have been victims of something extremely sinister. We have this incredible potential with our source light to come in and fully embody so that we're living these lives of peace, love, joy, and well being. And basically, if we're not doing that, we've been hacked. these biological earth suits, which are biological technologies, are getting hacked in so many ways. And it's through the, the false matrix AI Godhead projection that comes through everything that's outside of who you truly are. So anytime you're getting gooped in, say, and so you could be going along, minding your own business, pulling in your light, but they'll come in on purpose to distract you, to activate these subconscious programs of fear and doubt and self-concern, to alter you, to adjust you. There's a movie called The Adjustment Bureau that basically shows us that they will adjust us through mind and emotional control, through the trauma that's been placed there in the past, through experiences in this lifetime or past lives, real or virtual. It's all in there. It needs to get out. And we need to become so resistant to this hacking of the earth suit.
Yeah. And has that increased, like recently? Like, it seems like
Absolutely.
it's become kind of acute.
Absolutely. You might see it as this projected virtual reality, dream within a dream, layer upon layer, dimension upon dimension. Time hates it. And so there is a level of targeting for those that are sending up huge light signals, and they're going, right, there are pen, and they'll do it through any means. And you think you've got a handle on it. Okay, I'll just keep my family there because they can be weaponized against me. I'll just keep my cool. And it'll come through someone else or some other unexpected thing. Or even, through a direct assault, energy weapons being used on people.
Yeah.
I've had people that have gone off to breathwork retreats and come back home and had Russian computers wired into their brain that take them over, and they have tics and crazy behaviors that come out of the blue, start speaking in Russian, and this thing says, I'm now controlling you.
What the F?
Yeah. So, the level of technology that can be used on people is beyond what we've ever known,
Mm-hmm.
And I think, there's an X-Files thing that's being sent around at the moment describing, I think it was done in 2016, an episode or two of X-Files put together in a clip that just reveals how this agenda is rolling out through the technology that's been available for sort of 70 years, which is the weaponization, this parasitic AI bioweaponry that gets in through the chemtrails, through the genetic modification of food, etc. And these little parasites are racing around the body, controlling thoughts, emotions, nervous system primarily, which is why I think we see dementia, Alzheimer's, neurological disorders, MS, all of these things really ramping up as the immunological insults are coming through this bioweaponry, and none so strong as the actual jab, where you're really getting it put straight in.
Right.
Is that making sense to you?
I'm taking it all in.
How I see it.
Yeah. No, I'm taking it in, but I'm just pausing because there's a lag. I want to make sure I don't interrupt you if you're continuing. But so because what seems to be happening, at least from what I'm seeing, I know that, let's just say behind the scenes, in the subtle and the undetectable, what you're talking about is happening. Obviously, there's almost like a let's throw everything we can at them kind of thing. At the same time, there seems to be this really solid expansion, not just of individuals,
Absolutely.
but like a congealment. Some people might call it monadic or soul tribe-ish, that seems to be happening regardless of these crazy fluctuations and things that we go through. It just keeps getting better and better, and it's really weird to be having both things happening simultaneously. Because I touch base, just headlines on mainstream media on a couple different ones. I'll just go down the headlines just to see what they're trying to, confirm. Like, is this working? I noticed the false flag frequencies aren't working. Last night before I went to bed, I checked, and it was interesting because the first 4 or 5 headlines on Drudge Report were about these hearings they're having about this so-called insurrection, and all that. And you can see they're trying to set Trump up because they know he's coming back. But the 5th one said, and Joe Biden fell on the steps of the stairs of the airplane again today. Now, this is the major, so it's really weird how there's this something coming through in what we call the mainstream media, and it's almost like like a cycle, like Keystone Cops, like a circus. Last example, my daughter calls me this morning, 20 years old. Can I ask you a question? Yes. What happens when you get the jab? What happens to your body? So my point is, here's a 20-year-old trying to live her life, build a life, and there's been enough saturation of all the BS that she's asking questions, and her friends, because I asked her. They want to know what's going on. So there's that element too. Like, what does that do to the energetic field when people start saying, I don't believe you. You're not scaring me. I'm not going to participate.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it's all going on, and the awakening is definitely happening. And I know that from my own work, the people that have coming to me because of everything that's been going on in the last 2 years, there is, it's becoming so absurd that a lot of people are starting to notice it and starting to question, which is what we've always wanted, people to question this reality, what's actually going on here. So this is forcing that to happen. But the duality of that is the ramping up then of further targeting to try and stop people actually getting on with the work, the inner work. So much happening in the external reality to distract people, so many different things coming in. So, we're at war, and what's our weapon, what's our sword? It's source light embodiment. And we really have to focus on that to overcome all of what they're doing and start creating and manifesting from that we really are, learning to calm that emotional and mental reactivity when it's triggered by so many different means. And understanding if you're in that self-concern, self-doubt, you've been hacked.
Yeah. I get that. And these...
And reverse engineering that hacking, going, what is it where is this coming from and how do I overcome it? Because ultimately Source Light can overcome all of this and put us in that frequency where your reality changes and you're actually dodging and weaving through this matrix field.
Yeah. That's why I never rule anything out and stay on your toes. So let me throw this one at you. And I'm not being a devil's advocate, anyone out there. I respect everybody's reality. There's been a resurgence in the last 2 months, in the last few weeks especially. There's been a resurgence, and let's try to approach this metaphorically, of the solar flash and the 3 days of darkness. There's been quite a few people that I've been privy to, including Morgan, where they're one way or the other, the imagery or the vision seems to be saying we're about at that point where everybody's going to snap. Now, I saw a couple of brothers that talked about lucid dreams. They all came within, it was just a few days ago. Kind of the way they explained it, and one of them was, hey, everybody gets it. Everyone knows the truth in that moment, but we still got to reconstruct the world. I'm not saying any of these are verbatim, but my question is twofold. One, do you feel like that there's a connection between the increase in the antagonistic energy and the possibility of reaching that point of everybody gets it? So that's one question. And then the other question is how, I guess on a percentage basis, how possible do you think it is that that information is controlled information trying to lead us down a path.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so look, I'm just starting to just observe everything that comes in, all information, put it outside of myself and just become the observer, detached from outcome, not relying on it, because I think we've been given so much false information to make us attached to, oh, we're going to be rescued, this is going to happen, the white hats, oh, we've overcome the reptilians, whatever it is. And then we get that upswing of emotion of, oh, great, and then nothing happens and we slump down again, which is such a setup for then us to be further attacked and, you know, sent into that lower frequency of fear or frustration or anger. So putting it outside of ourselves and not reacting to it and just saying, okay, let's see what unfolds, knowing that the most likely positive the positive outcome is most likely to happen when enough of us have brought in that light, which creates these portals and breaks through this frequency fence. So I don't know is my answer. I don't know how this is going to unfold. I see a sort of Mad Max reality for some time, but is that going to be an issue for those of us that are bringing in the light? No, because we'll be guided to ways to manifest and create, going off grid, growing our own food, and not relying on the systems that have been set up. We've got to break away from what I see as sort of the narcissistic controllers and us being the codependents in the sort of Stockholm syndrome, and really get real what's going on and know that we can overcome it. But it's about staying in that state of peace and calm. So I don't know. I don't get those downloads of when and what's going to unfold in great detail. I just get this sort of experience of, oh, okay, right. So, you know, my feeling of late is that within 5 years, we need to have put ourselves in positions where we're not relying on the old reality, and that we're creating, you know, on property or whatever it is, collaborating communities being set up to bring in the new earth in those higher frequencies. Now, is this going to save everybody from this evil control? I don't know, and I suspect that the upload is just going along so rapidly for these people that just don't seem to be able to receive these frequencies to activate and awaken. I see it in my family. You know, their resistance to anything I've got to say is incredible. I can show them proof and they're just veiled. It's incredible. You know, I can ask them, my sister's a doctor, and I can say to her, how can you possibly believe that these jabs that have been untested with long-term studies can be dished out to pregnant women, where I was always trained, we don't give a pregnant woman anything. I mean, we're telling them to avoid soft cheeses and raw fish, for God's sake, yet have this untested experiment jabbed into you. And my sister sort of glitches when I'm speaking to her. I sort of see this, and out comes the narrative. Oh, well, we've tested it on millions of people all over the world. They seem to be okay. And I'm saying, what about long-term studies? Oh, well, and then it just doesn't register. We're not even talking on the same, well, we're not on the same frequency. We're not on the same page. And I'm just seeing this just going along, and they're basically taking us from free range, seems to be wanting to kill and cull a big percentage of us and upload people into the AI metaverse. And you know, that seems to be taking off, and I don't see it stopping. But the other side is that we, the organics, are hopping over the frequency altogether to be no longer controlled and sabotaged, and potentially bringing back enough light onto the planet to then break through for these other people and free them from their AI metaverse. That would be my dream.
Yes. I think that's why we showed up here. So let's make it good. Uh,
Yeah.
s- Several people have written about, and I know Morgan's experienced it a couple times. She's written about it. These bouts of insanity, like
Oh, yeah.
these peer.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah, yeah,
wondering,
yeah.
oh, do you have any experience with
Well,
that?
it
With
gets switched on. It's a switching on, as I said about this AI that seems to be sort of altering, almost resetting daily, which we see through, the Mandela effect, where you go, hang
right,
on,
right,
reality yesterday, I put my handbag here and where is it? Or, I remember something as this and now it's this. So they don't seem to be able to completely reset absolutely everything. A few things get, you see revealing through little cracks of evidence of things that don't seem to have been adjusted. And it clicks people, bing, and they're running this new narrative. It happens, boom, across the world all at the same time. So we're getting these, I guess, attacks on people's brains, minds through this technology. It's
right.
it's already been set up. And it's even in those of us that are awake, we still have this parasitic AI weaponry that we need to keep cleansing out of ourselves.
Yeah,
And it's through the frequencies, but also supporting the earth suit with, good eating, good habits for healthy lifestyle for your physicality. Never before has your physicality been so important to maintain. Not only, thoughts staying centered in that calm peace, but just getting this body to feel at its peak.
yeah, yeah. The bodies really come online. There's no doubt. So many people are changing their eating habits, getting rid of habits. Just being very receptive. So many people are having to sleep all the time, and then getting past the judgment, the self judgment, the ego
Yeah.
judgment of you need to be doing something, but
Oh,
it's just become absolutely, uh, you know, necessary to put the body first, no matter what time you got to be at work, no matter if you got to go to work or whatever. You really got to take care of the body. I mean, it's so
well,
obvious.
I mean, take care of the body. Number one, don't have the jab.
Yeah,
This is number one.
yeah,
But what is so interesting is I'll work with other healers who will say, "Oh, I'm never getting that jab,"
uh huh,
who then come up for another session a couple of months down the track, and they've had the jab.
yeah,
Something comes in and convinces them, and whether it's through some sort of tapping of mainstream or whatever, they go off and have it, and then come to me with vaccine regret.
yeah,
So, that level of mind control is profound.
yeah. Well, it's such a onslaught, and our fields are actually accustomed to those types of rhythms that are sent our way. That's a nice way to put it. Uh,
Yeah,
I know Morgan a couple days ago, and again I cite it because a lot of the women in particular seem to be picking up on stuff. And so if you look at the comments in these posts that she's saying, hey, this is happening,
mm.
whatever it is. But this one had to do with a vision of that PTSD and the effects of it. Like we have all been
Oh,
in PTSD constantly. If you and really, we started to,
totally. We
you know,
come in with PTSD.
mm,
It's in our genes. It's been coded. It's family lineage. It's
yeah,
curses and spells. It's traumas from past lives. And I say real or virtual. I think these past lives, a lot of them are programmed in with horror. And then it gets set up in this subconscious. So that's, 90% of your brain that you're not accessing, that's full of trauma, that gets reactivated
yeah,
through, you know, through different means, whether it comes in through a person that they've puppeteered, or whether it's a mainstream article, or even an alternative information. people get triggered, and out comes this subconscious programming that they've got no handle on, and their ego identity is so enmeshed in that. The little me, gets into that state of deep self-concern and deep self-doubt.
Right.
And then frequency, your emotional body gets into reaction, and then you're lowering your frequency, and then there's further adjustments being made to you.
Yeah. God. And,
bringing in the source light is illuminating that subconscious. We've got to illuminate it, light it up. Where are we programmed? What's going on? And that's taking the self-responsibility and learning not to project your frustration and anger and triggered emotions onto the external reality or another person or thing.
Right.
And take responsibility. What's going on in me? And I keep going back to reverse engineer where they've hacked you. Because if it's not a state of peace, love, joy, and well-being, it ain't you. It's something that's being done to your earth suit, your vessel for this lifetime, that isn't of the truth.
Right.
It's a thought form, parasitic thought form, or an ongoing subconscious trauma that hasn't been cleared.
Yeah, and therein lies the rub. How do we interact or bring to equilibrium those things that are antagonistic to us? How do we neutralize them? I look at a lot of platforms just to pick up the energies, and I think to myself, because I want to stay on my toes on a personal level. I don't think that I don't think any of us knew we were being controlled. So in other words, if I look at a platform and you'll see comments, "Oh, you're controlled," or and I'm thinking we all were. I mean, it's still
totally.
It's like the same
Absolutely.
recipe.
Until
Go ahead.
And until you're a fully embodied, realized being, you're controlled.
Yeah.
At some point, because unless this earth suit is completely cleared of those mental, emotional traumas, programs, and access points,
right?
To close off all portals and wormholes to dark entities, realms, and devices requires this, source light, totally unimpeded, to be embodied at all times, unwavering. But very few of us are maintaining that. We have moments of grace when that comes in, and what we notice is that the trigger, we're dealing with it so much more quickly. And I have an expression of, just remember, this is ultimately going to be much ado about nothing. Right. So you talked about your recent move, and ultimately we have to know that you're going to be okay, and everything's going to unfold well for you, when you're going to be guided. Will there be challenges? Yes. But we have to stop seeing, we have to become that source light, unwavering, and quell our emotions and mental noise and frustration that keeps up the drama, the narrative of this shouldn't be happening, why is this happening, and here it's happening again, and become non-reactive, knowing, much ado about nothing, this too shall pass, no matter what it is, understanding that the infinite nature of us, that means ultimately even faced with death, knowing that we're escaping out of this field to that infinite, big, great being that we are, and all is well. We've been told death itself is so, the end, but let's face it, everything they've told us is bullshit. So I'd presume that when we die, there we are, freedom, as long as you're conscious, have that portal of light, you've done some work, and you know how to access your way out of here.
Yeah, no doubt.
Much ado about nothing. This is the virtual reality projected dream state. Much ado about nothing.
How would you go about, just in general, or go as deep as you want, in your own words, reverse engineering from the point of awareness of of the intrusion?
So the first point is to recognize the minute you're in self-concern and self-doubt, you've been hacked. You're starting to run the narrative, the drama, the story. It always is hooking you into time, always. You're always out of presence. You're running the past with guilt, shame, blame, self-rejection, self-judgment, or you're projecting into the future with anxiety. What's going to happen? Will I be okay? And this is where we have to drop time, become present, override those parasitic thought forms that are going on and on and on, and just keep pulling yourself back into alignment and start to bring your light back in. And it literally starts to melt and soften that noise, that trauma, that drama. And then you're in the best position to synchronistically to connect with that you need. Get the little human ego identity out of the story and say, show me who I am. Show me who I really am. I'm willing to be a clean vessel of light, purify where I've been hacked, close off all portals to dark entities, realms, and devices across all time and space. Bring this light in. Guide me, protect me. Let's have fun. Let's go. And just, and then things start to change. But while you're running that whole narrative, the little me victim, and it's real, I'm not saying it's not real in the 3D, but we have to get to that non-dual aspect of who we are and perceive it from that essence, that thought-free essence of us, the fabric of us, and bring that into the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like hack the hack.
Hack the hack.
Hack the
Absolutely. Hack the hack. Interesting, that came to me yesterday. We have to hack the hack.
Is it possible that we're just experiencing the two extremes of duality in order to move towards non-separation in ourselves that the shadow is presenting to help us become more conscious, to help us? Yeah.
Absolutely. We can use this as a tool for training ourselves into full source light embodiment. But I say that this is how it's been set up. Do I like it? No, because if they pulled back the curtain and turned on the lights, we'd all be done by tomorrow. We could be clean, pure, full of source light. But the way this goes, we've got to peel it off layer upon layer upon layer. But absolutely, is this accelerating the process because we're being bombarded, because there's very few topics in the external reality that you can now think about that make you feel uplifted. You're sort of going, so you're sort of learning not to think and certainly not get too far ahead of yourself into time or project into the past, because it's like, it's not fun.
Yeah. I think that, as I'm sitting, listening to you and taking it all in, this thing with the move is a great example, I think, because in the process of that day coming, which it was like 6 weeks at notice. So I have a tendency to just let things build, and then create my way out. But that's the point in listening to you. Obviously, I told you beforehand, I spent 4 hours on the couch crying, literally crying my eyes out, I hadn't done since I was homeless. It was quite amazing, among many things. But the point was, however that process played out, I was removing doubt. If I look at it, if I analyze it in retrospect, I was removing doubt. The programs were being removed, and I think I told Morgan this, a couple of days after, and I was like, in so many words, I realized I took something that was pulling me down and turned it into a forward motion asset. So I really appreciate you explaining it that way. Do you think that the hack is coming from what we might call our own authorities, or from higher intelligences or higher realms?
Look, I see this false matrix AI godhead at the very top, puppeteering the various minions
Right.
that are our controllers, which are these negative ET embodiments into human form. So the reptilians, the Draco reptilians, insectoids, greys, whatever other species. So you've got a combination. They're the minions, and they're at the top of all authorities. So, I have people that get thrown into the psychiatric ward when they have big awakenings that they're unable to handle and get diagnosed with psychosis, which is really just the spiritual awakening, ungrounded and misunderstood and often interfered with negative entities. And they'll go into the psychiatric ward, and one of the three head psychiatrists or two of the three will be reptilian, and they'll see that. And the nursing staff, you'll have 9 beautiful souls trying to do great work, but being controlled by head nurse reptile.
Right.
And, and I know this is real because I've seen it myself.
Yeah.
And you start to identify the energy and even start seeing the shape-shifting of these creatures. So it's complex, but yeah, we've there's a lot here that is controlling us, but we go back to, we have the power. We are the magical, powerful, infinite beings that are more than enough and safe, and the rest is this matrix trickery.
Yeah.
And ultimately keep focusing on who you truly are.
Yeah.
And these things can no longer adjust you. Hack the hack, as you say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've noticed it. It's interesting, particularly Facebook. As I go in and do my work, I notice a lot of the. I chase metrics and numbers, but I also notice the rhythms and the feel. And I've noticed that I would explain it this way: like our behavior, our responses have kind of thrown a wrench into the algorithms. I watch it happen. A lot of it I can pull from my own experience because they have a tendency to knock me off,
Mm-hmm.
And so I work with my team and what's going on? Can you help me? And I'm like, can watch myself just kind of like slipping through the cracks. So there is a way. And I think that's just one semi-physical representation, but there is a way to hack the hack. And
totally. You talked about the 4-hour crying on the couch. Absolutely fantastic, because in that, where you're really surrendering, going deep, you're clearing so much to come out the other side of it and to be able to then stand up in that source light. Grace comes in, portals of light come in, and you're overcoming whatever it is that they've thrown at you to target you or try and adjust your timeline, and then see that something bigger, better is coming in on the horizon. Can you maintain a steady state of peace in the flux of going, where am I going to be?
Right.
And trust.
Yeah. So this is my takeaway so far. I love doing these shows because it's like I'm in a session, with someone like you. But so this is what I'm getting, right? I'm just going to share this. So you're absolutely right about what gets thrown at us. And I look at it like, I've got to be at the higher perspective so I can love my way out and create my way out. But there's another part to this. What you're bringing to light for me, which is the perspective of what are you dealing with here at ground zero level, Yeah. So we've all had these flashes, as you mentioned, and these glitches and these periods where we're temporarily sustaining this frequency bandwidth of, let's just call it 5D, where we become somewhat impervious and we start to create this. Okay. So what I'm getting from you is a reminder to myself, as these things come in now, I don't have to spend the time that I used to. because
Mm-hmm.
they're all one thing.
Yep.
They have all these different faces, be it old trauma, whatever they may be, but
Yes.
it's all the same program. These are just sub programs or other divisions of it. So now, I guess what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is my focus isn't going to be, or at least I'm going to be open to this, not to spend so much time digging, but to just go, you
Yes.
know what? F this. I'm going to go out and create some magic.
Yes.
You know, just like today.
Absolutely.
Today's another great example. I'm in this hotel, and I have already have to adjust myself because I spent years and years in hotels and otherwise, and I have this. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
bring myself into balance. Then the Soulogy Fest begins, and that's starting to roll. And because Soulogy and Todd is such a collection of energies, it's a new type of template, like everything that we're doing. Okay, so I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to honor that. But so I'm sitting here. I'm going to walk outside and get some sun. And I said to myself, and that whole thing came in. Oh, you can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell do you think you are? You haven't
Yes.
even, like,
Yes.
you're by the seat of your pants. So I said to myself, bullshit. I know who the hell I am, and I know
Yeah.
what I'm here and who I'm with. And so I started
Yep.
talking back. And as I'm walking out of the hotel side door, and I don't do this, I don't say, give me a sign. I don't do that. To me, that's like going,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I hope this works. I think hope
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
not in my vocabulary. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I said, it just came out like the higher self just went, uh, you're going to see a sign, like right now. So I
Mm.
walk into the parking
Mm.
lot, walk up to my car, and a road runner ran up to me and just kind of did this, and in the non-human language said, we got you, bro, because that's what the message
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
getting overall. So I quickly
Yeah.
looked it
Right.
up, and it said magic and good luck, and it was the same exact
Excellent.
colors of the Soulogy Fest, because I used the picture of the Roadrunner to announce the broadcast where we're going to announce it tomorrow,
Wow.
and the colors of the
Wow.
Roadrunner were exactly the colors of the Soulogy. So what I'm trying to say is, going back to what you're saying about this reverse engineering and about how we can sustain the higher frequency, because that's really the name of the
Mm-hmm.
game. It's not just to hit there and come back, hit there and come back. We actually can control
Yeah.
that. That's what I'm picking up from you. But what I was going to say is, as Morgan says, each action you take, then you're getting reciprocated, and that's becoming very
Mm-hmm.
obvious. And I would
Yeah.
go a little bit further and say, I have noticed that each time I take an action, like if I just go back 10 days ago, I'm moving out of the house, 3 guys come, one's a casual laborer. Hey, do you know where I could have a
Mm.
festival? Oh yeah, I live up on Mulberry Mountain, I work at the canoe
Yes.
place. And so boom,
Yes.
boom, boom. So the synchronicities are becoming like really loud. And that to me feels really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I look, all of that is just fantastic. And I think what you said is we don't need to do this dark, deep dive into all this muck time and time and time again.
Right.
Yes, clear a program, but as you did, cry on the couch for 4 hours and then done.
Right.
Any further negative thought and emotion has to just be, I'm not going there. No
Right.
longer listening to
Right.
that. I know who I truly am. Say the mantra of I'm powerful, I'm magical, I'm more than enough, I'm safe and infinite, and the rest is complete trickery.
Yeah.
And then holding that sustained light, then, as you say, synchronicities and magic start to happen.
Yeah.
And I see it, and people around me see it. And holding that light is creating that new reality. And we know that. I mean, I can have a day where I'm in such high frequencies from the sessions I do and go down to the supermarket, and it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
It's a buzz as interacting and floating around, and people are going, gee, you look good today. Wow. And, great to see you. And you're like, whoa, where am I? Or you go out to the supermarket when you've just been hit by something, you're running the negative programs and you're in there sort of slumped over and you're seeing some masks and you're seeing the ridiculousnly and everything starts to, you can't find what you need and you're just focusing on the fact that lettuce is now $10 and you're just like, oh, So, such clear examples of the experience of being a higher frequency being,
Yeah.
creating your own reality in the world and not of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That there's nothing that comes in. And when did I first realize this was when my son was killed and I was having extreme trauma, just hideous grief, didn't want to be here. And then this amazing portal of light would open up, and then this immunity from suffering would come in, and I'd be like, oh wow, it's all okay. And that would last for half an hour. I'd just be immersed in this light, and then it would close off, as we know these portals do, and then it's like, ugh. So the whole reason I sit in the chair today is talking on this was the desperate need to find out, how do we access the immunity from suffering? What is it? What is this light? How do we get it sustained? And recognizing that's who we're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And with that light coming in, you're getting DMT and your hormones balanced, you're getting your physiology, your immune system, your neurological system. The light's coming in, it's throwing out all of these parasitic AI little invaders that are agitating your nervous system and setting it off in a sort of a sympathetic overdrive, and your adrenals, and you're in your anxiety. But pour that light in, it's just washing clean all of that and disabling all of the intrusion into these earth suits. It's, overriding all of this weaponry that's been placed inside us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing the evidence that's occurring within our bodies, and of course within the events as they unfold. That's pretty amazing. And then I think too, listening to you and to methods to hack the hack, because there's so much being expanded upon now, both individually and in group sessions, like with the sessions that I've been privy to with Morgan's groups, which are amazing because you have a micro beehive intelligence that you can, you know what I mean? So you're sharing code, but in terms of like what you're talking about and what we're trying to get to, I wonder, tapping into the morphic field of the whole kit and caboodle. In other words, the Godhead AI, what are they, you know what I mean? Like hacking the hack has more than one meaning here. It's the internal, obviously, but also at least figuratively speaking, the external AI Godhead, right? Like if I can go in there, like Luke Skywalker blowing up the Death Star, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
this is
absolutely. I think the stronger the field that we create in and around us, we're going up and blasting that false matrix AI Godhead. Absolutely. And I love this concept of the group, because we've all got veils through our programming.
Right.
And when we get into a group, other people are revealing where your facet is still dirty, so to speak, that it hasn't been cleaned off to shine that light through. You're still running some fixed belief opinion that's self-sabotaging. And so through group work, obviously reflecting back to you where you're still in some little me ego identity that's not serving you. And then as you're clearing that all off in a group setting, that portal of light is extraordinary.
Yes.
It's the 1 + 1 now equals 10, and you've just expanded and cracking through. It's it's amazing.
Yeah, I think this is a part of what's becoming available to us in the real life, in the flesh and blood and bones, right? And because I don't know how many I've so it's been going on a couple of months plus. Don't ask me time, but I've watched it. And of course I've done this with Morgan, over the years. But then they have this whole thing where you have similar intentions, significantly open, you know, and you go into this place, and some of the things that have happened, it's not the things that are said. In fact, it's mostly quiet. And then afterwards, some people will stay and compare notes. And then they'll be like connect the dots. Like, she had talked to you. She gets off the session. 4 people hang out. What's going on with the reptilians? Everyone's talking about the reptilians. So there's these little pieces that fit together. But like some of the stuff that's happened has been more of almost like an unconscious thing. Some of it's conscious and intended. But like we've had like 3, I think one for certain, that had been with her quite a while. And they were instantly gone. Yeah, I'm talking like, you know, lady problem, female problem, and some other problem. I mean, like serious problems, serious enough that, you know, that just happened as a result. You would almost say that, I don't want to say indirect, but on the surface, an indirect result, like things that just happen because at the higher level, the power of that, which is beyond our comprehension, let's just say, still impacts the human. Like the power of 2 or more is taking on a whole new meaning, like so many other things now. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that this is where, you know, the work can be accelerated, bring that light in, and what you're dealing with, an issue that will clear so quickly, but also other things just, you know, disappearing. And as I was saying, your earth suit starts to balance through all the systems, you know, your hormones, your nervous system, you know, the physical organs are being cleansed with that light. Yeah. And so you're getting added effects that you weren't even expecting. I mean, I did a work on a guy that he was having relationship issues, and we dealt with a lot of that. And then he came back to me and said, I'm no longer scared of heights and don't get migraines anymore. Well, we didn't touch on any of that, but just increasing your frequency, washing off other things. It's fantastic. And, you know, the people I'm working with, I'm not even dealing sometimes with that many specific problems. It's just bringing that light in and washing, brainwashing with that source light. And people are coming back saying, it's profoundly changed me. My mind is so quiet now. Stillness is possible. Present moment awareness is now becoming so available. I can now stand at the crowded train station and become an observer and detached instead of being frustrated and annoyed on my daily commute. You know, so it's really just knowing that these higher frequency embodiments, putting you in that higher realm, is the immunity from all suffering.
Yeah. God.
The physical, the mental, the emotional suffering.
Yeah.
That is all unnatural to our biological earth suit and how it's meant to be.
Yeah, and I think I had a couple of my own little things that occurred in the last few days, a couple that kind of stood out. One was I was shown, and again, it was imagery, but I don't know how literal this is, but I was shown how we got taken over, basically. So I was shown a being, and the being, I don't know what the time was, but, you know, was basically of a Christ consciousness frequency. And I watched the being walk into a room, and we were at such a level at that time that the people couldn't see the frequency. They couldn't. They were just, no matter how Jesus-like the entity or the person might have been, they couldn't see him because of something that had happened internally. And then the other thing I saw was how and some people have been talking about this. I didn't see it the way some of the others had talked about it, but I could see now how a person of that frequency, the effect it was, they were actually being seen now. Like they were visible now, and that through the awareness of such an energy, then the journey begins, or the unfoldment begins for the individual who's been exposed to that code, and by whatever means. So to me, that's exciting. Which I'm wondering too, like, because I really have a lot of, I have a lot of respect for your, you know, your perspective, because you don't leave the human behind. You're always right there at the ground level, taking it on and otherwise. But what do you, you know,
Yeah.
how do you think we're doing? I mean, there's so much going out there saying this and saying that. I'm even talking light worker community and all that. I'm just saying, how do you think we're doing?
Whoa, how are we doing? Ah, gee, look, I look, do I have concern about the outcome for myself? No.
Yeah.
Do I have concern for the outcome for my awakened children? No. Do I see incredible challenges on the way? I see, as I've said, sort of Mad Max scenarios. I don't know how that sort of unfolds, but I sort of see that we're the galactic warriors, you know, the it's there's a sort of an exciting adventure component to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
What it looks like, how it unfolds, I don't know. But how is the plan going? How's the agenda that they're unfolding and unrolling from the saboteurs, the dark forces, going along? Not a lot, I don't see too many dents in that with the zombie, those that have already become zombies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But ultimately, as I said, once we break free, start creating these new, realities that are sustained, the new earth, that frequency must have an effect to come back. And I think ultimately, and this is my dream, is rescue the rest of them that have been hooked into the AI and blast them back with our light.
Yeah.
And activate them and free them. How are we going? Where are we at in all of that? I don't know.
I know.
I could, each day it feels different. I can say, "Whoa, we've broken through a new level of the game," and then in comes the next level of sabotaging. So
it's another squeeze. It's like wringing the water out of a washcloth. It's another squeeze, but they're just.
But how capable though are we of adapting to this adversity and overcoming it? Because if you think about the things that we've been exposed to, it's a horror. We're in the horror movie.
Oh yeah.
In the lower dimension, it's horrific.
Yeah.
Yet we're still standing.
Yeah.
We're still upright. We're still, doing okay. And as I said, I have people come up and compliment me on how well I look. And I've gone, God, if you only realize where I've been in the last 2 weeks. But, the grace, the light comes in.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you look shiny again. So, it's, look, it's certainly not boring.
No, it's not boring. No, it's not boring. I mean, I was talking to
my girlfriend says to me whenever we're on the phone, she's in America, up with, what do you see? It's almost a daily conversation. And she says, a phone call with you is like a multidimensional galactic soap opera. She just said she just can't believe some of the things that I've been exposed to in my personal reality, my personal world, and, how I'm perceiving the external reality. And, it's virtually a daily conversation of just like, whoa, where are we now?
Wow. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's crazy. It was Morgan and I were meeting with a friend of ours, and I said something, and it didn't come out right. I have a tendency to say things wrong, Sagittarius, but I was like, yeah, we're on the other sides of the world, and we've never been happier. She's like, don't say it like that. Well, that's not really what I meant. That's not making me happy, but no, what I was saying was that with everything going on, like, and I gotta put this up. This lady says, Sundancer. This lovely woman reminds me of Morgan. Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's why I had to put your comment up. But it's like, how can all this stuff be happening, and we're at the highest frequency we've ever been, individually, as a couple, as a whatever. And yeah, happiness is associated with that and many other things, right? Like awareness and so on. But it's just weird. Like I know that we're going to be together. It's not wishful thinking. Like all these things, there's just this, there's like this knowing, yet you still have that little 10% of, how do you know? and that's where the magic is. Like, that's what I feel like that's the part.
Well, that's the handing over. That's the handing over. It's saying, okay, give me what is really, assisting, supporting. Yeah. And for now, seeing that the separation is accelerating your training, and that the fact that you can find peace and inner joy means you're detaching from the external reality as being the cause for your happiness. And that's what we all have to do. Where we're attached to something outside of ourselves as the cause of our happiness and well-being, you can be rest assured that that will be interfered with to ensure that, any form of trying to control that attachment is going to be interfered with. Yeah. So we're better to surrender, let it go and say, okay, you sort this out from me. My ego self is having a little holiday here. Yeah. I'm going to bathe in some light, get into that beautiful state of peace and nourishment, and just give up the angst. All angst and striving for a future is futile. Yeah.
Well, I like what you say about doubt being looking at doubt rather than a byproduct of a program, but the program itself, like actually the core of the program, right? Like to approach it from strictly
self-concern.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, just the simple statement of any self-doubt and any self-concern is a false understanding. You've forgotten the truth of who you are as a multidimensional, infinite, galactic being that's escaping the hell.
That's right. That's right. Oh, we're glitching. We must be raising the frequency.
And I call it the hell realm, but I know that there is just divine beauty here, and that's what we're tapping into. But those days when you're sort of like, whoa, where's the light? But it's always there in nature, in us. Yes. In animals, we can connect to it. We can connect down to Mother Earth. And people need to remember that when you're being hacked, go out in nature, get away from Wi-Fi frequencies, get away from things that are not good for you, and sit in nature, get in water, get in the sun, which is interesting as I sit here in Melbourne winter and we haven't had the sun out for days. But those things are so to that targeting, that trigger, and get you out of that self-burn and self-doubt. But remembering the minute you're in.
You there? Did I freeze up again? All right. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I.
It's okay. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if any of what did you hear me? Did you hear me?
I have a feeling they can hear you, but I can't. I think we're good. So, I just want to say.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks.
I guess it's.
Huh? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so really just, the take-home message is really just in summary, remember, all self-concern, all self-doubt, you've been hacked. Right. Do whatever you can to bring in your light, bring in your frequency, calm down those agitated thought forms and emotional instability, and get yourself back in your center, which is your ultimate sword of light. And, like a knife through water, just get yourself back in that vibe.
Yeah. And you said that with 144 people in the house, so there's got to be some. And I've been watching the synchronicities with the numbers the whole time since we've been on. It was totally wild. Hey, it was great seeing you. I really missed you, and I wish you the best.
I missed me too. I'm like, where am I now as I'm sitting through? No, look, and it's not, it's just that I've been in the trenches. I've been going, what is going on? And as I said, I feel like I'm the frontline medic for these multidimensional galactic warriors coming in with their earth suits saying, this has been ripped off, this has got a hole in it, this needs repairing. And I say, sit down, sort you out, send you back onto the field, go forth and conquer. Call me again when you've been disabled. Back they come. And in each sort of repair job, it's not just the repair, it's also an acceleration and an upgrade to a next level.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
That's how I see it. So, I'm here now as the medic to the multidimensional medic to clear off the earth suit disabling so that we can have fun, be in this world and not of it, creating and manifesting, getting that portal of light going so that we've got our escape while in an earth suit and when we pass.
Yeah. Awesome.
So you want to escape? That's my job.
Hey, I'm sure I've been there. I'm sure you've tuned me up a few times out there in the ethers. Yeah. Wow. What a great time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was really good seeing you again. And
look, it's always great to catch up. And here we are, as I say, we're still standing, we're still here, we're still in the light. And I think we're on it.
Yeah, we are on it. We're doing it.
We're
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you take care. All blessings to you and your beautiful family and all your endeavors. And I'll see you again soon.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you for having me on, and love to you and to Morgan. And you take care, and best wishes with everything that unfolds. And it's going to be amazing.
Absolutely, it is. You take care. Love you.
All right.